Right on. Okay, welcome everybody to Alternatives to Big Corporate Software. Today's plan, we're going to look at the pros and cons of subscription-based software. We'll look at some of the alternatives for what's called SaaS and open the floor up if you guys have any suggestions for other softwares that you guys use that you want to share with the group. That would be great as well. So our goal is to show you that there's other options to mainstream products and hopefully save you a few bucks along the way. So if you're not familiar with SaaS, SaaS is what we call subscription as a service or SaaS. And so software that you rent versus software that you own. So Microsoft 365, Adobe Creative Cloud, QuickBooks Online, things like that are, you know, Canva Pro, any of those that you pay that you rent to use versus you buy and you have forever. So the problem with a SaaS model is that as a consumer, just the monthly price creep, you're paying $10 a month and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, now it's 10.50 or 11, which is understandable, but that means you pay that increase in the future. Oftentimes you're paying for features that you don't need. I would also say that you're paying for features sometimes that you don't want. Um, You know, there's a lot of push on different AI things right now, and lots of them are just not useful for the average person. But and the other thing is that once you get into it, tend to get locked in. Once you're invested, you put your whole infrastructure into it, and then it's hard to get out if you choose to do that. So when SaaS is the right choice is collaboration heavy teams. So we use a lot of SaaS products, and it's just because we're all over the place, we're remote, and we just need to collaborate online. So we don't spend money on renting a huge building or anything like that, but we do spend money on renting software that allows us to collaborate. So always up-to-date data needed. That's part of the collaboration thing. Compliance requirements, if you're required to have things in a certain format. Short-term or scaling situations. So there's a variety of scenarios where it's just like, you know what, your life would just be so much easier if you did go with the SaaS option. But sometimes it's just overkill. So if you're a solo operator, you may not need uh, to spend $300 a month on Office 365. Small teams, you can be a little bit more flexible with smaller teams. If you have static or infrequent use, maybe it's better to learn how to use a different product than one that you have to pay for. And if you only use about, 10% of the features, then it might not be worth it for you. Or I guarantee it's not worth it. So a couple areas, I'm going to go over a bunch of different software options and talk about sort of the equivalent of them, sort of in the graphic and design, some PDFs, Microsoft, email, video editing, accounting, CAD, some built-in tools. And then there's also some tools that we use that are free up to a certain number of users. And so we have utilized them in that way and get to use them for free, but we don't have all the features, but at the same time we don't need all the features, so we sort of use it selectively. So just a quick disclaimer, this workshop is for informational purposes only. We cannot guarantee that a particular software that we talk about will be the right fit for you, so please make sure you do your own research before making any purchases or using a product. The products we discuss are owned by third parties, and their pricing models or products may change at any time. And we've seen that a lot lately where there's been products that we absolutely love, and now they're owned by a much larger group that is now changing the pricing model or the structure of them. And we're also not affiliated with any of these products, but we do sell 365 and related products like that. So, with all those disclaimers out of the way, one of the tools that we have really enjoyed, but we haven't utilized ourselves. So, to put things on the table, we use Microsoft 365 as our main back end, and we also use the Adobe Creative Cloud and pay an arm and a leg for that software. But for the variety of things that we do, such as video editing, a lot of photo editing, vector illustration, PDF work, like we basically use all of Adobe tools. And because of that, we can't really get out of it without really um, really changing the way that we think and operate. And so currently the price is not worth the switch. And we've also invested a little bit into plugins and such that go into those products. So then we would have to find solutions to replace that. So Affinity, however, if you're looking for a really good design studio, Affinity, it was actually just recently bought by Canva, and most of their stuff is now moved online. This suite replaces tools such as like Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign. They do have desktop apps available. And the way that I think that Canva is using Affinity is to draw people in and then to try to get them to sign up for Canva Pro for more features. But the Affinity Studio has been good to us in the past. I haven't used it lately, but if you're looking for a replacement for one of those type of things, that's definitely a really good one. If you're looking just for a straight one-time fee, CorelDRAW to replace Adobe Illustrator is probably the way to go. It has actually a less of a learning curve than uh, Adobe Illustrator, and it does have desktop apps at a one-time fee, but you'll spend like $700, I think, to get CorelDRAW. So it's a toss-up of if you're using it for business purposes, that might be actually a really good direction to go. And you can open ESP files and everything. We have clients that we work with that use CorelDRAW all the time, and so we'll pass documents, vector documents back and forth. Another completely free option when it comes to like wanting to replace Photoshop, if you're willing to try and figure it out, is GIMP. And I have used GIMP and I use it with kids programs and everything. Uh, GIMP is a free alternative to Photoshop and works much in the same way. It definitely does not have the same level of features, but if you're only looking for basic editing capabilities or you need to kind of manipulate photos in a certain way, if you can take the time to learn the tool, it will save you a ton of money. Has anyone used any of those? You can just toss it in chat if you move my chat around up here. While I take a drink of tea. Yeah, I figured you would have used GIMP before there. Um, it's all right. I've used it before too, and it's all right. It does a good job, but my problem is I've been invested in Adobe, and this is part of the problem. I've been invested in Adobe for probably 20 some years. So the speed at which I can work in Adobe is so much faster than learning a new product. But if you're starting from scratch and looking for something free, then GIMP is a way to go. In the PDF world, this is probably something that people use a lot more of. There's a couple different options here. Foxit Reader. So oftentimes, Adobe is pushing Acrobat like crazy now. Even when you get a Adobe free reader or Adobe Reader, it tries to get you to sign up so that you sign up for Adobe Acrobat. You don't actually have to do that. You can use Adobe Reader for free and be able to open. And the only thing you can't do with it is manipulate PDFs. So if you need something that you can manipulate PDFs with, we recommend Foxit Reader. It's been very good. And they also have a free version as well, which we use on some desktops. So there are a number of other ones out there, and I didn't want to put them on there because I felt these two are pretty solid. And you get into some of the other ones, they're also like, maybe $30 one-time fee or $100 one-time fee, but um, these ones basically cover everything that those ones do. Another big push is with Microsoft. So Microsoft 365 is the way that Microsoft wants to go. And we know that coming down the pipe, Microsoft is also trying to, with Microsoft 12, trying to get in, introduce a virtual operating system where your operating system won't even be on your computer. It'll actually be in the cloud. And so we know that this is the direction that Microsoft is wanting to go. However, you don't have to get 365. If you just need Microsoft on your computer, you can still buy Office 2021, 2024 as a standalone, and you don't have to buy it from Microsoft. There are third-party providers where you can get it significantly cheaper. Uh, if you need some pricing on that, you can let us know. But you install it once, it's done. There's no regular monthly fee. So you don't get access to like OneDrive and all of those other things that you get with 365. But if all you really need is just a Word document every now and again, this is perfectly fine. The big reason that will push people into, not push people, that will suggest people go into 365 is more when they're looking for collaboration between users. So we do a ton of collaboration on documents and everything and editing them in real time together. And so when in those environments, 365 really shines, but otherwise, a standalone version is great because you set it and forget it, and you don't have to keep paying every month. There's also some free Office suites out there, so like LibreOffice, which I haven't used in forever, but I have used it before, LibreOffice and OpenOffice. Both of them work perfectly well. So if you're just looking for a document editor and you're not too particular on the model, then I would look up both those because they're both great. All right, if you just joined us, just a note, I did hit record on this, so I'll put that back up so you won't miss anything. We'll send that back out. For emails, a great free alternative, I shouldn't say a free alternative is Thunderbird. I like Thunderbird. It's solid, it works well. I just don't like the interface as much as I do with Outlook and even Gmail. But it does work with Gmail, Outlook, custom domains. So if you are looking for an email platform, Thunderbird definitely works well. It's a solid platform. So that's sort of our covering our 365 and a little bit of our Adobe products. Another one that's out there, I don't know if anyone does any video editing, but a really great editor that's completely free. The free version is actually really powerful. You can do a lot with it, is DaVinci Resolve. And it's used professionally. There's no watermarks or anything on it. It's an app that goes on your computer, and you can do everything. You can do most things that Premiere does. And then they have Premiere add-ons that you can get for it. So that's how they make their money. They also have professional versions, but the core one perfectly works perfectly great. Is that a word? Perfectly great? I think so. It is now. Uh, the other thing that I wanted to mention was bookkeeping, and I wanted to include this topic. However, to have a drink of tea, options are getting hard to find, and this is just 100% for information purposes because I know there's QuickBooks Desktop available still, but they're working hard to phase it out. I couldn't find a good solution for Sage as they're also now phasing it out, trying to get you into subscription model. There is Wave, waveapps.com, and I have not used Wave, so I cannot speak of it. And I also put down Odoo. And the reason I put down Odoo is just to mention we did try out, Odoo has a ton of different products. They're a little bit like Zoho, where they have just sort of built out 1,000 different apps that you can use. And it's sort of death by 1,000 cuts. So you start out getting one thing for $10 a month, and then by the time you're done, you're spending $500 a month because you bought everything. But we didn't end up going with them in the end. That's nothing, and maybe it would work for you. I just wanted to mention that they're out there. And it's another place to look at to see if it's a fit or not. Another one that we found, we do use Autodesk or AutoCAD. And Autodesk, there is a free version of Autodesk. So you can't use it for making money, though. I think they cap it at like if you have a project that's over $1,000 and somehow they figure that out, I don't know. You're supposed to then upgrade to a paid version. But if you're looking for something, just if you have a kid or whatever that wants to get into looking at AutoCAD, Autodesk free version allows you. So it's limited also in scope as to what you can do, but you can do quite a bit with it. Some other things that I wanted to mention, and these ones were just programs that are out there. Lots of them are open source, but I use them all the time. So one is VLC Media Player. It's a free and open source cross-platform multimedia player. And often there's different video types that you can't open on desktop because Windows Media doesn't want to open them. And they're like, oh, you need QuickBooks or you need not QuickBooks. You need QuickTime, or there's all these different codexes. It gets all complicated, but VLC has been great for us for opening up just about any media, video media of any kind. And it also does a bunch of streaming protocols and things like that. So if you're having problems with getting video up or needing something that's a little bit more robust, VLC Media Player is free and it is great. Another one that I actually use from time to time, and I'll actually pop this open, even though I do have Dreamweaver. So when we're doing coding on different projects for web applications and stuff, Notepad++ is probably my favorite open source editor and Notepad replacement. So the nice thing about it is it highlights syntax, and if you don't know what that means, then that's okay. Um, it just means it makes all the characters different colors, so it's easier to read. So it's easier than actually going on Notepad and trying to do things there. Another one that works really well is Audacity. So if you're looking to do audio recording in the standard format, Audacity is an audio editing and recording app that's free, and it does work well as well. It's not with all of these, they work well within their limitation. Like if I were to hold this up against Adobe Audition, there's no comparison. Just because I can do so much more with Audition and I'm used to it, so I can do it quicker. But as far as a free tool, if you're doing basic editing of needing to chop down some audio or just mix a couple tracks together, that works really well. So some built-in tools, one that I wanted to mention, and maybe you guys have some ideas of other built-in tools that you use all the time. So I'm on Windows, but the snipping tool on Windows 11, we actually have a couple programs, Snagit, which is actually a really good program. Snagit and Camtasia by TechSmith, I think. I don't think it'll tell me without me opening it. Pretty sure it's TechSmith. Uh, Great tools. I bought them years ago for doing just screen capture or capturing videos when I was doing more tutorials earlier on our YouTube channel. And but now the snipping tool on Windows 11 basically replaces that. So it's nice and quick. You just hit the, don't do it right now maybe, but the Windows key plus Shift plus S, open up the snipping tool, and then you can just select something on the screen, do some markup, and then send that off to someone. Another thing that you can look for as far as free software, and this is software that isn't free, but I wanted to mention three that we use so I can verify that they're actually legit. Uh, but the small tiers are useful. So ClickUp is one that we use for task management. And with ClickUp, it's free up to 10 users or something like that. And so we have everyone on there and we can use ClickUp. Now, it doesn't have all of the features, but we also don't need all the features. We just wanted a central task area. And I know that Microsoft has a ton of them, but in all honesty, Microsoft just builds very robust, big, sort of clunky systems. And so that the to-do list and everything didn't have all of the features, and the email stuff doesn't work as good in the Microsoft To-Do compared to our team just preferred ClickUp. So ClickUp was one of those ones that you can get for free and utilize up to X number of people. Buffer is another one that I recommend. Buffer is used for social media scheduling, and they do have a free tier where you can put in up to 3 channels. So you could have Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube or something else. And it's free. You can schedule 10 posts at a time. So your queue will always have up to a max of 10. So at least it lets you plan for 2 weeks out, or depending on how often you post, maybe a month out. And you can just schedule some of those posts and they auto go out. Another thing that people will do all the time is that maybe you don't use it for everything, but you know what? I'll use it for the what's happening this month that is common, that is scheduled. I know that, Christmas is coming up. I know I'm just using that as an example, but Christmas is coming up. I'll have a couple posts that are just about Christmas or Christmas Day. I can schedule that through here and it'll just push it out to all my channels for me. Another good one, if you do need a help desk, Zoho Desk Free Edition. They have a free plan that's limited to 3 user licenses. We actually use a paid version for this, but I'd recommend looking into that if you're ever looking for a help desk type scenario. I don't know if that applies to anyone here, but perhaps someone watching in the future on um, YouTube. The last item that I wanted to say, I'm doing pretty good for time. I think I'm talking fast, is operating systems. One thing to strategically consider for the future is operating systems. I know that Windows 11 is here, Windows 10 is out, and Windows 12 is coming down the pipeline. And we're curious to see if there's going to be a pushback against Windows if they move to a cloud-based system. I'm not sure what the future will hold, but Linux is come a long way. I don't know if anyone's ever seen Linux, but it's not for everyone, but it is quite powerful. So it's a free operating system. And Linux, there's actually a ton of different versions of it, depending on what it is. So some's for a server, some's for a desktop, different applications. And I'm not going to speak to everyone, but they're extremely stable and they're great for things like older hardware. So say you have an older computer and you just want an operating system on that you can do stuff, that you can check email and uh, do that kind of thing instead of worrying about the updates from Windows. Maybe you convert it to a Linux system, and so dedicated workstations, privacy focused users, it's an option. Is it a fit? It's hard to say. So as you're thinking through that, you can simply just say, how often do I use this? Do I need collaboration? Can I own it instead of rent it? What happens to my current subscription if I stop paying? Sometimes it's thinking about, if all of a sudden the business goes through a, a lull and I need to stop paying for something, do I lose everything that I've invested into this, or is it just something that I've bought and is available to us? So it all part of the equation. So some of the ways that we help businesses is through software audits, network audits, IT management, endpoint production as a part of our Bankert IT services. But that's just a quick overview of, alternatives to big corporate software and a bunch of the different ones that I am aware of and or have used in the past. But I'd be curious to know what you guys have used. If you've got any suggestions for different things, you can throw them into the chat. We will post this again. If there is something you're interested in and I just quickly went over it, you can get back. We'll send you the YouTube video